Hey, what is up? Welcome to the Strategy Wednesday episode of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofrumento. I'm really excited about today's episode because we are keeping it simple, yet effective and profitable. We're going to be talking about the most forgotten fact about getting your first customer or client. And if you already have a customer or client, that's awesome too, because we're really going to take it back to basics and hit home about how to rapidly scale up you getting more customers and clients. We're going to keep it simple in this one. I'm excited for it. Let's dive in. All right, so first things first, a heads up for you. I don't know how many of you Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast listeners know this, but I actually have started recording these episodes on video, so you can actually see me on video recording these episodes. So if you're an audio person, then awesome. Keep listening to this podcast. It's going to keep airing 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, wherever the heck it is that you listen to podcasts. But if you do want to start checking out the videos to go along with it, if you are a YouTube junkie like me, then hop on over to YouTube and just search my name, Brian Lofrumento, and you will find these recorded episodes. So it's really cool. I actually publish them on my YouTube channel before they actually air on the podcast. So it's also a cool way for you to get your hands on these episodes before they actually air. And also, the other note before we dive straight into this episode is I'm broadcasting from Ukraine. So I am still here in Ukraine. I've been here for, I think, over a month at this point. And so I know a lot of you have been emailing me or Instagram DMing me. I love seeing the fact that you guys just reach out to me on social media. It's been why the schedule's been a little haywire while I've been traveling. It's not always easy with internet connectivity here and always being on the move, but I am excited that we're here this week with 3 new episodes of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. Let's not waste any time. I really want to talk to you about your first customer or client. If you already have a customer or client or many customers or clients, then this is still going to be useful to you because, like I said, we're kicking it old school. We're bringing it back to basics. And this is a really important concept for those times where you're just sitting there thinking, gosh, what do I do to grow? What do I do to scale? How am I going to get more money? Where am I going to find more customers and clients? This concept is going to make it really simple and hopefully hit the reset button for you in your sales generation efforts, especially since we are here in Q4. And I want for every single person in the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur community to have the biggest quarter of 2020. Which shouldn't be hard because I know for a lot of people, 2020 is definitely a down year. So let's talk about that. I'm just going to throw this out there really quickly. If you do not have your first customer or client yet, guess what? It's not supposed to be sexy. It's not supposed to come from Facebook ads. It's not supposed to come from some crazy email automation. It's not supposed to come from some really complex marketing automation or a funnel. People love the F word in marketing. They love funnels. They love talking about building funnels, launching funnels, funnel conversion rates. They love all these things. But the truth is, your first customer or client will likely, and I would actually argue, perhaps should come in a traditional and non-sexy way. And I'm going to tell you the story of how I got my first customer or client. So rewind. Now, I'm not going to talk about my soccer blogs. That's really where I made my first money as an entrepreneur. The reason why I'm not talking about that is because it was a little bit different of a game back in 2008. It was a content-based business. So I made money from advertisers. I was using different advertising networks, and that's how advertisers came my way. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make a split decision here on the fly in this episode. I will talk to you about that first client as well, because it actually fits the topic of today's episode. So first things first, though, I want to start in 2012 with my marketing agency, my search engine optimization and web design agency based in Boston, Massachusetts. Gosh, I think I was like 22 years old when we started that agency. I started it with a friend of mine from high school. And so I had a business partner and we would meet every single day after work. Both of us were fresh out of college. We were both working 9-to-5 jobs and we were meeting every single day after work saying, yeah, we want to grow this business. We want to grow this business. Let's get our website live. Let's make these business cards. Let's get a logo. We were doing all these things. And it's funny because I can still picture all of them because gosh, we spent so much time on building our website. We spent so much time on what turned out to be a hideous logo, but it's cool because we scaled scaled to 6 figures with that very same hideous logo. But the moral of the story is we kept putting all these hours in after work until one day we said, you know what? Rather than building our website, rather than designing and finding a printer for these business cards, let's just walk into a local business and see what the heck they're doing with marketing. And let's just pitch to them. Let's ask them if they want to be our first client. So we walked into a local sandwich shop in my hometown, 26 miles west of Boston. It's a small suburb outside of Boston where I grew up. And we walked into a sandwich shop. I'll never forget Nick's Roast Beef. Love that place. Absolutely. Years later, gosh, this is like a decade later almost. I love going to Nick's Roast Beef. And every time I walk in there, I think to myself, this is my first client. This is a huge milestone. But that milestone only came not because we launched Facebook ads, not because we built marketing funnels. It came because we walked in there and I asked the guy, hi, I'd like to speak to the owner. And this huge Italian dude looks down at 22-year-old me and he's just like, I am the owner. What do you want, kid? And I don't even know what I said. I just probably just spewed out a ton of random stuff that was on my mind. Like, we can do marketing and you should have more customers and clients and your roast beef is incredible and your sandwiches are the best in the area. Everybody should know about you. You should be exploding. Like, literally, there should always be people coming in the door. There should always be people placing orders. There should always be companies who are placing orders for lunch orders with you. You should be crushing it. What are you doing marketing wise? And we had a conversation. And at the end, I pitched to him and he said, cool. How much does it cost? And I'll tell you, this is not an important takeaway from this episode, but I hadn't even thought about the cost. So I just blurted out, $99 a month. And he was like, cool, let's do it. That's how I got my first customer, or that's how I got my first client. That's it. It's not sexy. And that is the point of today's episode. I'm using this story. I'm using my own personal experience to illustrate the fact for you that getting your first customer or client doesn't have to be sexy. And in fact, maybe it shouldn't be sexy. So many entrepreneurs, particularly newer entrepreneurs, want to build these complex funnels. They want to build webinars. They want to build online quizzes. They want to build all these lead magnets. I can't even tell you the things that I hear and see people posting in Facebook groups of, hey, I want to launch this. I want to launch that. The fact of the matter is, if you don't have a customer or client just yet, whatever infrastructure pieces you're building are not needed right now. Just go get your first customer or client. Do it in a non-sexy way. It is the fastest way. We got our first client in less than 20 minutes. From the time we decided to walk in that door to the time he agreed to work with us was less than 20 minutes. And too many newer entrepreneurs spend hours or days or weeks or months or years building these things that are not generating money for them. So it's not sexy. And I know the trend is becoming more and more towards marketing automation and email automation and all these crazy tech things because it's cool. We have those tools. I'll be honest. I'm lucky that in 2012, we didn't have ClickFunnels or we didn't have all these email automation tools because I probably would have loved them too. 22-year-old me loved technology. Still to this day, I love playing with new tools. I love playing with new marketing automation softwares. I love that stuff. But I'm lucky because it didn't exist in 2012. And so what we did was the traditional way. We walked in, and here's the thing about the traditional way. It has always worked, and it will always work. Let's say you are starting a consulting agency, or let's just say you're an accountant. Let's just keep it really simple, a business that every single person understands. We all know exactly what accountants do. We know how their client-based model works. If you are an accountant, you've got a couple of different options for you to find your first customer or client. Sure, you could go the technology route, like I said, and launch Facebook ad campaigns and launch a lead magnet and build an email automation series and hopefully get people on the phone with you. You could do all that stuff. Or this is the big thing I'm trying to pressure you on in today's episode. Or just pick, hey, these 10 companies, gosh, they would be perfect clients for me. If that's what you can do, approach those 10 companies. You will find your first customer or client within those 10 companies. Or maybe it takes 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. But regardless, or just look at your local region. Look at local businesses and help them, serve them. Whatever it is, if you sell frisbees, hit up people in frisbee Facebook groups. Do it the non-sexy way. Message them, comment on things, put it on your Facebook and say, hey, I just launched, I'm selling these frisbees and here's why they're awesome. I think you should get one. And just post it on your social media. Do it the non-sexy way. Hustle, talk to people, approach people. That's really the premise and why I'm pushing you in today's episode to do it the non-sexy way. Because the non-sexy way, and it's also the same, the reason why it's great is also the same reason why most newer entrepreneurs avoid it. Because the non-sexy way, the traditional way, involves talking to people. And that's the number one thing that I see most entrepreneurs avoid when it comes to generating sales, when it comes to getting new customers and clients, is they will use every approach under the sun to not have to talk to people. But holy cow, the feedback, the gains that you get from actually talking to people and the increased close rate, the fact that you will get customers and clients that way, far outweigh the pain of having to talk to people. And I know it's not sexy, and as entrepreneurs and especially as marketers, we like to talk about technology, but holy cow, it makes finding your first customers and clients way more difficult. If you're a coach, a consultant, an accountant, if you sell frisbees, if you sell dog food, I don't care what you do, go talk to people. That's it. It's a really simple way to get your first customer or client. And so all of those other things you're working on, congratulations. As of today's episode, as of you listening to this or watching this right now, throw your to-do list to the side. Forget about it for the next 30, 60, or 90 days. Do things the traditional way. Do things the old school way, the non-sexy way. Now, I'll share with you, even when I started my soccer blog, it's funny to me how when I look at my businesses, actually almost every single business I've started, the first sales, the first real momentum has come from this, from doing it the non-sexy way. When I started my soccer blog in 2008, the only way you make money as a blogger is through advertising. And I was trying to find all these different ad networks. I was trying to figure out, how do you even get on Nike's radar? How do you even get on these companies' radars for them to want to advertise on your website? And it wasn't until I realized, wait, there's already companies here in the United States advertising on other soccer blogs. I should talk to them. And I just started getting more visible within the soccer community here in the United States. And a scarf company. Yes, a scarf company. That was the first money I made as an entrepreneur based in Seattle, Washington. I'll never forget the name of the company, Roughneck Scarves. I'm actually still to this day friends with the founder of Roughneck Scarves on Facebook. Shout out to Jeff, really cool dude who has done really incredible things in the soccer community. Him and I exchanged emails. We literally negotiated the advertising deal over email, and he paid me $200. That was my first customer or client. I didn't run ads. I didn't run any paid traffic. I didn't have any fancy social media graphics. It just came through good old traditional email. So if you already have customers or clients, you might be asking yourself, well, Brian, what am I supposed to do with this stuff today? Like, what is my takeaway? I already have customers and clients. I don't necessarily want to be cold walking into businesses. What's the big takeaway here? And that's where I want to reiterate. The takeaway that I hope every single person gets from today's Strategy Wednesday episode is keep it old school for a little bit. Keep it traditional for a little bit. And I know it's counter to a lot of what I talk about because I love technology. I'm such a tech junkie. I love Facebook ads. I love marketing automation. I love scaling, using really cool softwares. I love all of these things. But every once in a while, every single one of us benefits from keeping it old school. When we start getting on the phone with our customers, when we start actually engaging in talking to people in our audience, when we start individually offering to them saying, hey, I think you should buy this because I think it'll help you. It fine-tunes your copy. It fine-tunes your understanding of your potential customers or clients or people in your audience's pain points. It helps you gain feedback from them. What are they actually thinking? It's a really well-known marketing concept out there where people say the best marketing is when you can enter the conversation that's already happening in the minds of your customers. And there's no way to do that if you're not actually talking to customers or clients. So that's why you will see this commitment from me here in Q4 of 2020 that I will be opening up my calendar to my email list. I do it a few times a year where I say, hey, get on the phone with me. I'm keeping it old school. And it's always those weeks where I have huge income weeks because there's nothing in the world, no marketing automation, no tools, no software that can replace talking to your people. So it's a bit old school today. It's a Strategy Wednesday episode that I feel it had to have been said. You got to be thinking about it this way. Your first customer or client does not have to come in a sexy way. In fact, go chase them the non-sexy way. And if you already have customers and clients, go get your next one the non-traditional way. That's it from me today. Thanks for tuning in to the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, we're going to have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So make sure you pound that subscribe button on Spotify, on iTunes, on the Google Play Store, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. I'll see you. And also, by the way, search me on YouTube. I'd love for you to subscribe to me. I'm doing something really interesting on YouTube. I'm not pushing it too much. I'm going to see what sort of organic growth happens, but I will mention it here. So if you do want to follow me on YouTube, gosh, it would mean the world to me. Hit that subscribe button. Just search Brian Lofermento on YouTube, and I will see you this Friday with an all-new episode of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast.